The movie begins as a group Nazi soldiers remove two captures from their wagon. The man has a sack on his head, which they remove to reveal that he's a Russian Hitler look-alike. He tells the sergeant that they're just artists who perform for wounded soldiers, and the woman next to him is his wife. He claims that he can't even speak German properly. Using one of his soldiers as an amateur translator, the sergeant orders the couple to show them some theater, or they'll shoot them in the leg and kill the wife. The man asks for a minute to discuss with his wife. She's more pessimistic, but he wants to use this chance in case they may let them go. He proceeds to perform for the soldiers, who don't understand what he says and think he's babbling like a madman. The sergeant doesn't find it funny and tells them he has a better idea by asking his soldiers to aim their weapons at them. Before he orders the shots and the couple say their last prayers, the sergeant is shot on the chest. He's followed by the rest of his soldiers. The last of them hides under the wagon and aims at the couple, but is shot before he gets to kill them. Seeing what just unfolded, the husband and wife exclaim in gratitude. The man who saved their life reveals himself from the trees but goes around stealing things from the dead soldiers instead of talking. The husband asks him who he is and where the others are. The masked soldier is unresponsive and walks away. The scene changes to 1941, when the Nazi Germany army broke the Soviet army's defense and encircled 4 of their armies. The survivors tried to reach the Russian strongholds in small groups or alone. An injured man is found by a group of Russian soldiers. He claims that he's a friend. They search him up, and the man in charge decides to bring him with them because he looks Russian. The lieutenant doesn't like it, claiming that he's a deserter. They all start moving, walking by the body of the sergeant from earlier. At night, they build a fire and start talking about how long it'll take for them to leave the snow. One of them says they'll be at his friend's by dinner the next day. Kolya, the injured man the Russians carry around, tells the others a story about character, concluding that Russians don't lift a finger if not bothered first. He suddenly stops responding and passes away. The scene changes to Nazi soldiers investigating an area where countless German soldiers were killed by a solitary sniper named the Red Ghost by the soldiers. Braun, a commander, is given the task of eliminating the sniper. The Russians infiltrate an abandoned town. 2 of them enter the friend's house they were heading to. They find food and vodka on the table, which one of them almost drinks. His friend stops him, and the 2 start wrestling before Pops, the one who led them there, reveals that it's all poisoned. The woman who was with them enters the house and asks one of them to look for clean clothes for her. He's shocked to find out that she's actually pregnant. The others proceed to wrest Kolya's body. Commander Braun is moving with his fellow soldier Klein, telling them about Russians and all the things he observed about them. Back inside the house, the lieutenant tells the others not to move the items on the table. He orders Vera, the pregnant lady, and the sergeant to stay put while he and a few others go find possibly useful items. Meanwhile, the commander's army enters the residence the Russians are hiding in. Klein shows off the food he placed that's been killing Russians for a while now. The lieutenant and the others are approached by the sergeant, who tells them the Germans are inside with Vera. He went outside for nature's call and came to the others. When he saw that he's outnumbered, he still gets knocked down for disobeying orders. Pops asks the lieutenant what they should do now and walks away in anger when he realizes there's no answer. Inside the compound, the German soldiers find a pig and start dancing and taking pictures with it before the commander shoots it down. He tells them it's rude to play with food. Back inside, Vera takes a peek from the chest she's hiding in as Klein tells Braun of how the soldiers get tired and should have fun once in a while, but Commander Braun tells him only officers are entitled to that. The Russians count how many German soldiers they're facing. The lieutenant instructs Pops to keep his eyes on the farm and report any movements he sees in case they leave. They agree to enter at dawn if Vera's still alive. Inside, Vera hears the 2 officers talk about the Red Ghost. Braun sits on the chest and Vera lets out a gasp, but they don't hear it. Pops tells their new partner about the Red Ghost's legend. He tells him that he attacks Germans that get careless or stray away from their group and then disappears into thin air. He takes off the officers' badges to let the others know it's him and play with their heads. The simpleton only exclaims at how the sniper got to kill all these men. Back inside, a soldier notices that something's moving inside the chest and walks towards it. He sees Vera inside and notices no one else saw her. He hesitantly closes the chest back and almost walks out, but the commander and Klein stop him. They check the chest and find Vera. The soldiers outside hear her screaming and start playing some music. The Russians see Vera walk out of the house with her face bruised. Pop says they can kill them all if they're quit, but the lieutenant has already given up. Hearing that they're about to abandon her, the simpleton hurriedly leaves them and the sergeant follows him. The others try to stop them. One of the soldiers asks Captain Klein if hanging her is necessary since she's obviously pregnant. Klein agrees, claiming that 1 bullet would do the job the same. Vera distracts him by telling him that he'll suffer and die. Meanwhile, the simpleton and the sergeant attack the soldiers guarding the farm. They manage to kill most of them. God's punishment seems to stop Klein from pulling the trigger. He gives his gun to the soldier who hit her instead, telling him he only has 2 minutes. The soldier lets out a tear as he points the gun at the pregnant woman, but he's shot from a distance before he can kill her. The Russians wonder who fired the shot, to discover that that it's the Red Ghost, who kills the rest of the Germans in the compound. Braun, who was steaming at the time of attack, runs outside naked amidst the shootout. He gets back inside safely. The simpleton finds Vera and makes sure she's okay. He stays in hiding with her. The Red Ghost enters the barn Klein's hiding in, but gets splashed on his face with hot water. Klein runs out and falls on a trunk with his face, knocking him unconscious. For a moment, the compound is quiet. A soldier speaks with Braun, telling him that the Red Ghost is behind all of this. Braun asks for a rifle, and the soldier throws it to him. Klein turns out to be alive, but is shot the moment he tries to say something. The Germans start discussing what to do from there, and one of them mentions that they have a truck. Commander Braun orders them to shoot at the steam house he was in to distract the sniper. When they're about to start, the simpleton leaves the hiding spot he was in and attacks the soldier that gave Braun the rifle. The two struggle before the simpleton pushes the German soldier outside, where Russians would shoot at him from every direction. The other soldier throws a couple of bombs and tries to get to the truck, but is also shot when he reaches it. Braun searches for clothes to wear since he's alone now. Turns out Klein is actually still alive and taking a peek at the Russians as they enter the compound. They open the door to the cabin to find the Red Ghost before he collapses on the floor. The scene changes to the Russians eating inside. The Red Ghost is taking a rest. Vera tells them she knew something would go wrong when they left, which the simpleton relates with. The sergeant goes outside to give his friend a loaf. Vera starts having contractions, which means she'll be going into labor soon. Klein hears as the sergeant exclaims that their group is growing and they have a new member. At a distance, the Nazi army finds Commander Braun wearing a woman's clothing. Pops guides Vera through labor as the simpleton gives her emotional support. The sergeant and lieutenant go through the Red Ghost's belongings, revealing a picture of him as a child. Vera finally gives birth to a baby boy, filling everyone with joy. They're interrupted by the Red Ghost, who walks up to his rifle shortly after waking up. Pops tells the others that this must be the Germans coming. The lieutenant tells them to get ready for battle. The colonel asks Commander Braun how many of the Russians are there and mocks him when he tells him there are only 5, compared to the multiple more that were assigned with him. The Germans start shooting at the cabin with big bombs. Pops tells his friend Consta to forgive him for everything and takes cover for him. The lieutenant waits for the soldiers to come close enough before using the machine gun on them. Braun asks the colonel to give him some soldiers and he'll take care of it himself. He asks for a chance to restore his honor, and the colonel lets him. The colonel and a few soldiers stay behind to throw the bombs from a distance. The Red Ghost shoots the soldiers and throws the bomb back at the colonel's spot. He then walks to the dying colonel and shoots him. Pops manages to get a few of the German soldiers before one of the hidden ones shoots at him, almost killing him. They throw a grenade into the cabin, but Sergeant and the simpleton pass it to the other side. Suddenly, the lieutenant gets hit, and Pops leaves his spot to help him. He's shot by a soldier, though. Consta also leaves his hideout. Braun shoots at him, and he goes back inside. Sergeant sees that a German soldier has his eyes for the injured lieutenant. He runs to attack the soldier and finds a bottle of vodka after killing him. He punches the lieutenant's jaw back to its initial position and makes him gulp some vodka for the pain. Meanwhile, another soldier throws a grenade at the cabin where Vera and the baby are and starts attacking the simpleton before Vera grabs him from behind, saving the simpleton. Braun appears out of nowhere and shoots at the sergeant, killing him. The Red Ghost appears too, and the two start fighting with their rifles. Commander Braun, who's filled with rage because of the humiliation from earlier, gives his best fight. He knocks the Red Ghost down and points his gun at him. The Red Ghost stabs the commander in the stomach with a metal rod, killing him. As he walks away, Klein shoots the Red Ghost from behind him. As he's laughing and celebrating his victory, he's shot back. In the aftermath of the ordeal, Vera and the simpleton are glad to see that Consta survived with them. The scene changes to the artists from earlier, except they're in a prisoner's camp this time. The man is brought to the front, and the colonel asks them who hid a partisan in there. His wife remains quiet, and he tries to convince them that he's just an artist, but the colonel demands to know who hid him and if anyone knows about the Red Ghost. Seeing everyone's unresponsiveness, the colonel orders a girl to be held at gunpoint and asks again. The man starts speaking, directing the soldiers to hurry and leave as fast as they can to reach a truck. He tells them that they'll find 4 of their crooked soldiers dead there. It was they who found the Red Ghost. His wife closes her eyes, thinking they'll kill him for this. The colonel is angry about the joke, but the man goes on to say that he can sing too, and that's what artists do, not fascists. The colonel orders for him to be shot immediately, but gets shot himself. Suddenly, the captures start attacking the soldiers and they win. The Red Ghost approaches the bodies of the soldiers, taking the badges from the officers. The movie ends as the Red Ghost walks away from the artists. He turns around to reveal that Consta is the new Red Ghost. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.